On the 3rd of November, there's a private member's bill to lower the voting age from 18 to 16. I mean, given your previous position on this, I assume you will be there and you will be supporting it. But there's an issue where we know public opinion, and we know that the public are dead against lowering the voting age. So why is this an issue where you won't listen to the public?
So I've listened to the public and I've debated with the public. In fact, I've listened most of all to 16 and 17-year-olds and debated
even
with
there
them for a long time. They're very mixed views on this. So you get a view from a lot of young people that says, well, hang on, I'm not sure that I know enough in order to make this decision. To me, actually, this says that they are precisely the people who I'd want to be voting, the people who've realised that there are limits to what they know and have thought about it enough to understand that and are taking the decision incredibly seriously. That's exactly who you want to empower to go down to the ballot box. There are other 16-year-olds who feel very strongly about it. I'll tell you why I care about this, because I think when you look back across our history, every time we've extended the franchise, it's been a good thing. And in a democracy where people are hugely, hugely affected by the decisions that we collectively make, the question we should start with is not why extend the franchise, but why not? It's in our collective interest that the majority of people, the greatest majority of people, are bound into the decisions that we collectively make together. And in the case of 16 and 17-year-olds, I feel particularly strongly about this, because I think that they are potentially more affected than any of us through the action and inaction of this Parliament and parliaments in the future. I mean, the great challenges that we face, climate change, an ageing population, not having any answers really to how we're going to fund our social care system and how we're going to deal with people's pensions. These are massive, massive changes that are going to affect this generation of young people more than any of us.
But that argument applies to 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds.
Right.
So why stop at 16?
So
why are you so elitist? Why are you so elitist?
Why do I hate the 15-year-olds?
Why do you? Well, the only reason I phrase it like that is whenever I argue for not lowering the voting age, I'm told I hate 17-year-olds. It seems to me you hate 15-year-olds just as much as I hate 17-year-olds.
And the 8-year-olds.
And
don't get me started.
Don't get me started on the children. Yeah.
No, look, I don't. And I've had this debate with young people. They always ask the awkward questions. A lot more awkward than that, to be honest. And no. The reason that 16 seems to me a sensible place to start is because 16 is the age when you are beginning to do a whole series of things like paying taxes for a lot of young people. Now, don't roll your eyes at me, because too often when I hear this debate talked about in Westminster circles, what I hear is, 16-year-olds are living at home, sponging off their parents, and they don't, they're going to go off to university and they're not going to have kids for another 15 years. But actually that is not the experience of a lot of young people across this country, and certainly not in my constituency, where young people have to get jobs, part-time jobs, especially since we abolished the EMA, in order to stay on at college and go on to university, where quite often they're not going on to university because they have to get a job to support their families, where they're caring for parents or relatives, where they're thinking very seriously about the future, and quite soon they may be starting families as well. And it just seems to me that if we see it through the lens of the group of people who frankly run the country, we're not going to get this right.
But why in recent years then have we raised the age at which we allow people to do things? So for example, in recent years, fireworks, you used to be able to buy a firework at 16, you now can't buy one until you're 18. Cigarettes from 16 to 18, tanning booths from 16 to 18. We're telling them that at 17, I hate you, 17-year-old, and you're not old enough to go and decide to go into a tanning booth on your own. Casinos, gambling, all of these things, we're actually raising the age. We're starting the age at which they start things later.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, when most things are going up, on this one, people want to go down.
Well, they're not necessarily going. I mean, we've been having a very live debate in Parliament recently about trying to have compulsory sex and relationships education, and trying to start that discussion with young people at a much earlier age, because we recognise that they are put into situations that demand maturity at a much younger age, and yet we're not equipping them with the skills to do it. When I was the Shadow Children's Minister, I did a live web chat through the NSPCC with a group of children and young people. They were 5 years old, and they were on the internet chatting to me about issues that mattered to them, including online safety. I mean, this is, you know, we are asking children to operate in a world that is increasingly sophisticated without safeguards, and we're not equipping them with the skills to do it. I'm not alone, I think, in thinking that lowering the voting age should go alongside equipping children and young people with the ability to make those decisions, that political education in schools shouldn't just look like the geography teacher doing half an hour in the lunch hour, but actually should start at a much younger primary level with helping children to be active agents in running their own schools and handling political power and having to make decisions and trade-offs and choices together. But that doesn't seem to me to be an argument then to say, and now we'll shut you out of making those decisions about your own lives and your communities. You know, the thing that really strikes me about young people nowadays is this, that in the last few years, especially the young people that I used to work with before I came into Parliament, who often have left home very early, who've had really difficult time throughout their childhood, that they are as ambitious about the future as any generation that has gone before them, for themselves, for their own lives, for their families and for their communities. That is quite an astonishing thing when you think of all the things that we've thrown at children and young people in the last few years. They still care, they're still trying, they're still determined to make an impact. Why are we standing in the way of a group of really enterprising, ambitious and quite often very optimistic, talented young people who are doing well despite the system and not because of it? We should be enabling them, not preventing them.